and then we have Priya Pulur. So that's on August 28th between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. The next announcement I have is with respect to safety. So break-ins have gone a little bit rampant this summer, and personal friends of mine have been impacted. Their homes have been broken into in areas of Saratoga that we would never ever anticipate break-ins happening. So statistically, there are 3.3 break-ins happening every week, and about $1.9 million stolen from Saratoga homes. $1.9 million. That number is staggering. I don't think so we have ever seen that before. And that number, when put in perspective with respect to $5.5 million approximately that we spend on sheriff services, that is 1.9 million is not very small. So I brought up safety as a topic on our city council meetings in the past. I brought up the need for surveillance cameras, and our council has found privacy issues and the video data maintenance issue as a key challenge towards moving forward. I've asked for a policy update with our landscaping and lighting district. There are 28 of them established in Saratoga to consider adding surveillance cameras, but we have not been able to move forward with that. I've added a new Q&A session working with our city manager and our previous captain, Captain Sung, and that we had happen that occurred on February 20th, and we had only 20 citizens participating at that session. So that's a new addition we have this year and hopefully every year after this. And our city is doing stuff. You know, Howard Council Member Howard Miller's idea was to have safety added or considered as an item for the Traffic and Safety Commission. And that is moving forward. And I think we should see a report back from the Traffic and Safety Commission likely next month. I think that's very smart that we are considering that, but I think we can do much more. And the community meetings I have been holding, and have had about 19 of these community meetings with approximately about 30 people at these meetings, and it has touched a chord. There are people showing up, and when we go around the room, almost everybody has experienced a break-in or had a friend whose home was broken into. And there are lots of great ideas on security. And those ideas are coming out as a result of these community events. I've talked to, the reason why we are holding these community events is to basically talk about best practices, about how we can better protect our homes. Things like locking your fence gate, make sure you have a locked mailbox, make sure you lock your electrical panel, make sure you lock your doors. Now, those are things that we walk through, best practices. I think that's very important that we all understand that. Bring everyone on the same page. Secondly, it also leads to folks who are newcomers becoming aware that there might be a problem in Saratoga. That when I bought my home last year or a few years back, you know, I thought it was very safe. But it may not be that safe because I need to lock my doors. You know, I cannot leave my doors and windows open when I get out. And I used to do that before I got a little aware. You know, when I used to work for IBM, I would leave my doors and windows open, get out for a customer meeting and come back. And then I discovered that a home was broken into right in my neighborhood. And that's when we launched the Neighborhood Safety Watch. So now we are basically having a grid of Neighborhood Safety Watch programs we are launching in Saratoga. You know, from the 19 neighborhood meetings we have had, about 18 new Neighborhood Safety Watch programs have been initiated. I've talked to John Chabon at the back. He's sitting at the back. And we have talked about basically ordering Neighborhood Safety Watch program signs so that when these neighborhoods are ready, we can go out and put these signs in these different neighborhoods. So John likely has ordered a few lawn signs. You know, I've talked to the CEO of Ring.com, and I asked for a 70% discounting for a doorbell product, which basically replaces your 50-year-old doorbell into a Ring plus camera. Because the modus operandi of these thieves are they ring your doorbell first to check if you're at home or not. Now, if you take that away from them, where when they see a Ring.com product, they know that I will be caught on camera, they will likely go to a different home. So we are trying to innovate. I reached out to the CEO of Ring.com, and I asked for a 70% discounting. We got a 30% discounting, and that was published in Saratoga News, and also over Nextdoor and all the other social media blitz that we rolled out. In parallel, I'm arranging a meeting with Congresswoman Anna Eshoo and Sheriff Laurie Smith of Santa Clara County. I've reached out, but the meeting is not calendared. I'm looking for additional source of funding, for additional source of ideas, because there is a lot more that needs to be done to address the safety angst that our community is feeling. Today, at the end of the council meeting, we have something called council item. And I will propose putting Saratoga safety as an agenda topic for discussion at the next meeting in September. That's September 7th. I don't know if I'll get the support of the council, but I will bring that up. So going back to the neighborhood meetings, we have talked about many topics. We have discussed best practices. We have talked about statistical information, providing top 10 tips, and spent hundreds of hours dropping flyers in neighborhoods. My intern team have helped tremendously, especially Isha and Rohan Mahotra, who are driving the effort for all of Saratoga. They are spearheading this effort for 19 neighborhood teams and walking them, doing the hand-holding and taking them from step 1 through step 10. And they are monitoring the metric. We have a dashboard, and we are monitoring how these neighborhoods are progressing. I think it's a pretty good plan that these kids are putting together. The plan is again to create a grid of neighborhood safety watch programs over Saratoga. And if you look at next door, there is currently a thread that talks about the fact that we have a broken safety record in Saratoga right now. It's challenged. How many replies? There are 131 replies. 131 replies, and it still continues to go on. Every hour there is a new posting that people are posting talking about, we need to do something. This is the time our city council needs to act. We are on point, we are on target, we need to move and get stuff going. So where have we established where have we initiated these neighborhood safety watch programs? It started in the month of June in the Wardell Cox area in the Arroyo Street, Bramer Drive, Lower Pierce Road, Blossom View. The whole list is there. If any one of you would like to launch a neighborhood safety program, please reach out. You can register by going to tinyurl.com/letUsChat. tinyurl.com/letUsChat. And you can enter your information that you would like to have a neighborhood safety watch program. How is it different from the sheriff? The sheriff is catching the bad guys every week. If you read the Saratoga News, they're catching at least 2 or 3 of these criminals every week. And what we are doing is we are doing the heavy lifting away from the sheriff's office. My intern team is helping these neighborhoods get established with their neighborhood safety watch. And then finally one day, which is likely in the month of October, we will have an all-out blitz where the sheriff who's standing at the back, Captain Ulrich, and his team will actually validate the neighborhood safety watch programs for all these 19, 25, I don't know how many we'll have by then. That is the plan, and that's why we are conscious of not spending the sheriff's time and bringing the sheriff over to these meetings. I run the meetings, I provide the safety tips, and then my interns take over. We talk about the whole protocol of the neighborhood safety watch program. So the end objective of some of these meetings is to basically identify a neighborhood leader, someone from within that neighborhood who would hold the ball on that and carry it forward. Identifying block captains, breaking up the neighborhood into small-sized chunks of 7 to 10 homes that are close to each other, and identifying a block captain. We have done this for a few neighborhoods already that are registered and alive and kicking, and now we are looking to do a starburst with 19 of them. So that's the plan, and again, if anybody would like to roll out a neighborhood safety watch program in your neighborhood, you can reach out via this URL, tinyurl.com/letUsChat. The next topic I have is water. We all need to conserve water. We are in a historic drought, and there is no second thoughts about that. If you look at the weather predictor, it is going to be a La Nina effect, which is coming up in December. It's not going to get better. We haven't seen the signs that this is going to get better. So conservation is the name of the game. And I think all of us need to do our little bit to contribute towards making that conservation happen. When I look at my June-July bill, my allocation was 29 CCF. Now I suggest all of you become aware of what your allocation is. It's there on your bill. It's there on your bill. Please get informed what your allocation is. My allocation was 29 CCF, and I consumed 20 CCF. And in spite of both my teenage boys taking long showers, we tried to cut back on that as best as we could. We still hit 20 CCF because we are conscious, and I think that was part of the answer. And what was my bill? It was $192. But I've seen scenarios where I've had friends who have had bills more than a mortgage in some parts of the country, $2,500. I've seen those bills too. So if you don't conserve, unfortunately, the system is basically not going to help you out. You will have to pay up for it. So we had a meeting last Sunday with the San Jose Water Company and Santa Clara Valley Water District to discuss this very topic. And I think some of the folks in this room were there. I felt that was necessary. It was important for me to have a meeting with our neighbors, with our citizens, because I did not see water as an agenda item at this meeting today. When I saw that, I reached out to Santa Clara Valley Water District. I reached out to San Jose Water Company because I've established some relationships with them. They decided that they would change plans, and they did me a huge favor by showing up to a meeting on Sunday afternoon at 2:30 p.m. to meet 40, 50 not very happy citizens from Saratoga. And it was not a very pleasant conversation, but sometimes we find solution by initiating a dialogue which does not start from a good standpoint, and that's really what we have done. Now today at the end of the council meeting, I will once again propose putting water as an agenda topic for discussion. Once again. Well, I'm going to propose that. We are Tree City USA, but what I suggest is do your research, and I think our city can help out a little bit in terms of which trees need water and which don't. We were out a few weekends back at the Sequoia National Park, and the landscape that we looked from, I believe that was Morrow Rock, was like the fall colors of New England. You see dead trees. Almost 50% of the trees are dead. And that's a very stark image that California has right now. We all have to conserve, which means, we have to be a little bit intelligent about it. We have a 2020 trees by 2020. I'm not sure how effective that will be for us to hit the drought. So let's be careful. Planting new trees may not be an option right now because we'll have to water it. And if we water it, we'll see a spike in bills. So let's be very careful in terms of what we are doing because the environment is not very conducive, not helping us at this point. Now, I definitely am the city representative on the Santa Clara Valley Water District Commission. It is a commission only, it's not a board. And it has very limited decision-making authority, mostly recommendations and voicing out city opinion. That's all we do. When we make a vote, nothing is binding on Santa Clara Valley Water District staff. The only thing binding is if the board decides to put a vote to it and they approve or they make a decision on that. It's only then that it is binding. So myself, as a Santa Clara Valley Water District Commissioner, I have very little role to play. And when we look at ourselves on the City Council, our jurisdiction with San Jose Water Company is extremely limited or almost negligible. So I'm going to walk through very quickly what are some of the additional charges our San Jose Water Company customers, which is our citizens, are seeing on their water bill. If you have any concerns with your bill, I suggest doing the following. You contact customer.service@sjwater.com. That is customer.service@sjwater.com. And you can also contact the San Jose Water Company call center. And the phone number for that is 408-279-7900. Please do not wait. If you see any problems with your bill, please call them. Please email them. Get proactive. Now, here are the 4 components of the increase in our bill that we are all seeing. The first component is 6.7% increase. And I'm not going to go through the dates because it's highly complicated. and I'll reference a deck where you'll find all the different details. 6.7%, which is related to the 19% Santa Clara Valley Water District groundwater production charges, which was not voted by me, which was voted by the Santa Clara Valley Water District Board. And as a commission, we voted on it, but it was ultimately voted by the Santa Clara Valley Water District Board, and that was the only decision that was binding. We have the second component of the increase is 8.6%, which started January 1st, that went live on June 14th, based on a rate increase package that was submitted by San Jose Water Company to CPUC. CPUC is the California Public Utility Commission. So that was 8.6% that was ultimately approved by CPUC. The third component is, because the rate increase that should have happened on January 1st was a little bit late, we have to pay arrears. We have to pay the delta that we basically owe San Jose Water Company, and that has been applied as 3% over the next 12 years. So you will see a 3% increase, 12 months. 3% increase for the next 12 months. And so it started, I believe, in the month of July, and it should be done by June 30th. And if the math doesn't quite work out, we might get some money back. They might take some money. They might charge us more. But that is TBD. But that's what it is. And item number 4, which is probably the most critical, and this is what Suresh mentioned when he was here talking to us at the council. It's the surcharge. Our surcharge has not gone away. And I've announced this at a council meeting previously that our surcharges remain. And our surcharges remain till today, and until CPUC does a different ruling. So there is a surcharge, and if you have seen your bill go from 2x to 4x to 5x or whatever those ungodly numbers are, it's related to the surcharge. Now all these 4 components, there is a common thread. There is only one organization that has approved that, which is the California Public Utility Commission. Nobody else has jurisdiction over San Jose Water Company. Now, let me get you some numbers. If your water bill was $100 last year, and you consume the exact same this year, so I'm making an assumption here that your surcharge remains the same. So now let's look at the math. You have $100. What will be the bill this year? You have $100 plus $8.60, the first component, which was approved by CPUC, plus $6.70, which was once again approved by CPUC, plus $3 for the 3%. That equates to approximately $118.30. So for a $100 bill, the first 3 components have an impact of $18.30. So if your bill went from $100 to $300, what is the missing element? That is your surcharge. So look at your bill. Why did your bills go 2x to 3x? If you consume the exact same, it is related to the surcharge. You have to look at your allocation. You have to look at how much you consume. I've seen allocations where it's 29 CCF and they have consumed 100 CCF. You will pay a price for that. That's the way it is structured. So now I would like to tell you, many of you have been questioning the inflated bills that we have. Well, the exorbitant bills, not inflated. They are exorbitant bills. Because when you have a bill of $2,500, it definitely is a high number. But do not get stuck with the 8%, the 6%, the 3% number. You got to look at the surcharge. That is very important. Now, if you go back, myself, well, let's talk about Naisu, who's not here. Naisu is a board member of the Santa Clara Valley Water District. She was at a protest meeting that Suresh mentioned a few minutes earlier. Council member Howard, actually he was the mayor back then. He was the mayor, Howard Miller, who was at the meeting in San Jose. There were 400, 500 angry people there, and I was also there as well. There were only 3 elected officials in the room who were expressing unhappiness with the surcharge, because we all knew that Saratoga would end up paying hefty fines because of the way the surcharge was structured. The math for the surcharge does not help Saratoga with our large lots, and how the surcharge has been rolled out, as the reasoning behind the surcharge is to promote conservation. But with our large lots, we will pay a price for that. Now, all this information, here's the link. You go to slideshare.net/Rishi59/water-meeting. That's the URL. Now, here is what we came up on the Sunday meeting. We came up with some specific ideas in terms of what we could do, what's our action right now. We still don't quite know in terms of what our approach will be ultimately, because it's a council meeting discussion that we need to arrive at. By myself, it's kind of hard to move forward. We need to have consensus together as a council, and that's why I will be putting this on the council meeting. But here is your recourse right now. There are three options. One is you can make an appeal with CPUC. The information, the link is in the deck. You can also, if you have economic hardship, there are 2,000 Saratogans who are below the poverty line in Saratoga. And if any one of you are impacted, you can go to a water rates assistance program. Where is the link? The link is in the deck. Where is the deck? The deck is slideshare.net. Slideshare, which is like slides, share.net/rishi59/water-meeting. And this URL has been posted on Nextdoor. The final component, the final recommendation is you can actually go about requesting an increase in your allocation. That link is also there in the deck. So that was a quick update on the water situation in Saratoga. There is a lot of work to be done. And we got the ball rolling on Sunday, but collectively we can address this problem, deal with it, and figure out how we want to take some action. Thank you.
Howard?
If it will please the mayor, I will make a short statement, but try to stay concise.
Sure, by all means.
Water's complicated. We'll have to talk about that one separate. I do want to talk about crime within the city of Saratoga. Everybody's using different words to describe the situation, and I want to try and get a little bit big picture on what we think is really going on and kind of what's going on with us as a council on this particular area. In our state, it was decided by the citizens of the state that nonviolent, low-level criminals shouldn't spend very much time in prison. It was decided by the state that a lot of stuff shouldn't be state prison, it should be county. And probably the largest impact to us is something known as Proposition 47, which has tripled the number of these particular criminals being released in our city in the last year. We saw this coming. We knew when it went on the ballot. Our mayor at the time was Emily Lowe, and Emily proposed at that point that we add sheriff's hours, that we increase our sheriff's budget, and we did by over 10%. We wanted to make sure there was more money in our sheriff's budget. We wanted to try and get ahead of this. The proposition did pass, and we did have additional resources. When I was mayor, we restructured some of the meetings that we have with the neighborhood groups to turn them into the safety meetings. We set up some other meetings. Rishi was involved with some of those meetings. I myself know what this is like, and it's unfortunate as I went through the whole thing. I came home one day and your brain doesn't really adjust correctly. You walk into your house and you say, I don't remember leaving my cabinets open. What's all this stuff on the floor? And slowly it dawns on you, and then it's like a knife in your heart. You've been robbed. My wife and I, at the time, had been robbed. And it was a very unfortunate situation, like many robberies within our city. I had left my side garage door open in the garage door to the house. They didn't have to break anything. They just had to come check the right knobs, and I was robbed. And I unfortunately was a victim of a smash and grab in my car. And, I had my CDs with me, 40 of them in the case sitting right there on the passenger seat. And even though they can only sell them for $1 a CD at the flea market, that $40 was valuable enough to that criminal to break my car window right in a Saratoga driveway while I slept 25 feet away. You cannot begin to describe how violated you feel and how you wonder about your city when you show up in those experiences. And the worst part, and I'll cop to this, and my neighbor already knows me, I've apologized to him profusely. My neighbor came over to see what was happening, and we found a mud print of a boot right outside the car. And the first thing I instinctively did was look at my neighbor's shoe. Crime is bad. it leaves you in a very, very vulnerable and bad spot. And even your next door neighbors and your friends, you don't know who to look at. And I understand if you move to Saratoga being a safe city and you've had a crime perpetrated upon you, exactly how you feel. Identity theft. We had an identity theft in my household, and in that one I have a happy ending. My wife was a lifelong bank employee. Her father founded a bank. She knew bank procedures inside and out, and she was able to help the bank examiner, and they actually managed to track down the insider person at the bank, and then the two outside people. 3 people went to jail for that one. So, and that's a typical story in our city. We tend to catch more of the criminals who commit crimes in our city than the other cities. I'm proud of the sheriff department. In the case of the identity theft, I'm proud of my wife, because I didn't know how bank procedures worked, but man, she nailed this person. I sit here as a council, and I should apologize on the identity theft. Manny has been a subject of mail theft, and Manny's gone out, and you hear him advocate for this. He's put in a locking mailbox. I haven't put in a locking mailbox, so I'm guilty of that too. Mary Lynn meets with community groups. The council has scheduled all kinds of different community group meetings, outreach meetings. We've done a top-to-bottom review with the sheriff. We have launched our safety commission to actually bring back more definitive plans. How many people knew that we had a citywide neighborhood watch in effect over Christmas? The sheriff went out and did that. There's a bunch of things that we are trying. Rishi right here has personally gone out. It's 19 neighborhoods? 19 neighborhoods. And you've heard me say for years, the way that we are a safe city is we watch out for each other. We're willing to come out of our house. We're willing to cross the language divide and the cultural divide. We know who our neighbors are. We know who our neighbors' phone numbers are. We have trusted friends on the street where we tell them when we're going on vacation. Other people will collect our papers for us. This is how we are the safest of cities. And I get it. I really do get it. This is a problem in our community now. Crime is moving in a direction that none of us is comfortable with. The question is, how do we pick ourselves up as a city and a community and move ourselves forward? I forgot, there was a period before Rick, so a couple sheriffs back, where they started talking about the brown signs, and it was picking on San Jose in a way, but to the people that they were picking up, if you're brown signs, you're in the sheriff, meaning brown signs, Saratoga street signs, and we're going to get you. Implying that you go rob in the black signs, San Jose, which isn't fair. But again, I'd rather that they not rob within our city. But my point is, and the only reason I went off on this, is I personally know what it's like to have been robbed. I know what it's personally like to have experienced identity theft. I know what it's personally like to have had my car smashed and stuff stolen from me out of my car. And I've never been harmed or hurt or shot or anything bad in my city, so I'm grateful for that, but you still are uneasy when you've been subject to crime. My second point is that we as a council are not doing nothing. We have had this on the agenda 3 times this year. One was our retreat. The other ones were follow-ups with the Safety Commission. We spent a lot of time on this. There are more meetings scheduled, and we are, each individuals of us, and I got to say, Rishi has done more than the rest of us, because he's actually out in the community getting the neighborhood watches organized, and eventually our sheriff in the back is going to end up certifying these 19 organizations, and we are going to have the most powerful neighborhood watch in any city in the valley, and there's even more that we can do. Lock your doors, lock your windows, get a locking mailbox. And there's a few other dozen tips that Rishi's got regularly posted. There's some tips on our website. The sheriff has tips. Anyway, do I believe Saratoga is unsafe? No. Do I believe crime is rampant? No. Do I believe crime is on the upswing? Yes. Do I believe we need to do something about it? Absolutely. We are, and there's more to do, and we're going to need everybody at the table to move this forward. Anyway, it's not my normal announcement about an activity or whatever. I just wanted to give an opinion on crime.
Okay, thank you. Emily?